You could say that this is Alireza Firouzja's candidate's qualification right here, because he's playing Gata Kamsky in this game, the only player in the Rouen Open in France that can even get close to him in rating and caliber. Now Kamsky is 49 years old, so past his best, but he used to be 27.63 at his peak, a former world number 4, so he's formidable. And remember, Alireza has to win. If he draws a single game, his rating will plummet. Wesley So will take that highest rating spot on January 1st. Can Alireza get the job done? He does get white in this game, that helps, and he kicks off with e4. Now we get c5 from Kamsky. That always helps the cause, that he's not going for a Petrov or something. Alireza with white as mentioned. I can't get the names in, I'm afraid. It's such a low-key tournament, they're not beaming the moves out live. So we get knight f3, knight c6, and bishop b5 initiates the Rossolimo. A very strategic opening, because after e6 we get bishop takes on c6, pawn recaptures, and d3. And what do I mean by strategic opening? Well, black now has the bishop pair but a compromised pawn structure. White has the knights and a better pawn structure, so it's a battle of strategy. Will the imbalance favour white or black or the better player, right? So knight e7 now played. Queen e2, the knight spins into g6, eyeing these important dark squares, and now h4 looks to dislodge it, so h5 shuts that one down, and e5. Alireza gains the space. That's a nice bone in the throat. This is one of the points of putting the queen on e2 early doors. And now f6 played. Ben Feingold wincing right, never play f6 he says, because generally speaking you're weakening the king, but okay, the point of this one here is to challenge that thorn pawn, and after knight bd2, looking at these squares on c4, e4, you know, this is one of the plus sides of the compromised pawn structure, we now see d6 from Gata, and he's really putting the question here. You can't support with a pawn of course, so Alireza forced to capture. We see bishop takes back. The knight hits this wonderful outpost on c4, and you don't have to maintain the bishop pair. You could go e5, say to Alireza, do you want to swap? But bishop e7 played, very principled, saying fine, if I'm going to have a worse pawn structure, at least long term, I want these snipers in case things break open in the future. So bishop e3 targets the weak pawn on c5, e5 now played, very natural, gaining space, preparing to develop this one, and that's why we see knight f to d2. You wouldn't want to run into this move, bishop g4, which was now played, and have this eternal pin, you know, right pain in the derriere. So f3 now played, kicks this bishop back. Why has Gata provoked this move? Well, he's looking to weaken dark squares. And after queen f2, he gave Alireza a home for the queen when he provoked this move. He now does a bit of a trade. So pawn f5 played, giving the weakened doubled c pawn, but then winning this pawn on h4. This is Gata's point. g3, forced of course, unless you're going to give a rook, not ideal. And now this move's strange, because bishop e7 looks really natural. Yes, it gives white the opportunity to trade a set of bishops if Alireza wants to, something you want to try and avoid usually, keep your bishop pair. But when we get bishop g5 here, which was played in the game, now it allows knight d6 check. This is the point at least of if you'd put the bishop on e7, not possible. King d7 now played. Not ideal, stumbling around the centre. That's one naked king. This should have a PG rating on it, right? Now let me scroll down the moves here that I don't catch up when I do this view. So Alireza castles queenside, queen a5, Gata activates, he's looking to delete this pawn on a2, and so a3 played by Alireza. Always go king b1, says Ben Feingold, but not so hot here. This is a good way to get mated. Yeah, you don't even have knight b1 because of this bishop. Lovely stuff. So, okay, Alireza goes pawn a3. Now we get rook a b8, offering a pawn to be taken because this is a battery, but of course you never do that in a million years. For one thing, you'd hang the knight to the king. For another, you just help in black attack, double the rooks, opening lines, etc. So instead, Alireza really plays a superb move, because one of the top engine ideas here is knight c4, and human ideas as well, right? You jump back to this knight post, you hit the queen, and if pawn takes, you know, you open the d-file. But Alireza does something with the move order here and plays this pawn f4 break. Absolutely love it. Puts the question to these, captures is played, it's the best move, and by doing this, not only are you starting to rip open lines for the heavy pieces, but you vacated black's control of d4. That's pertinent in just a moment. So this knight now backpedals to c4. The queen is hit, and now you don't have the opportunity to keep the queens on the board, you know, say queen a6 or something, because then there's queen d4, check, and g7 starts dropping. That is not good news. So that's why the bishop took on c4 here. Now you can't take with the knight. Bang, you walk into this, check, and there's this on the queen. That is good knight. So the pawn takes, but also it's a very natural move anyway, because you've just opened the d-file opposite the king, but Gata just gets a tempo here to scurry back to the cubbyhole with king to c8. You know, by giving up these bishops, yes, it wasn't ideal, but you bought that tempo. Now we see takes on f4. We see captures with the knight, scrolling down here, not with the bishop, or else rook hg1 comes, you're undermining the defender of this bishop. So knight takes was played, and now Alireza takes a timeout to go king b1. Why? Well, if you go bishop d6, which you want to do, double attack on rook and knight, which is also pressured by the queen, of course. Massive problem. Well, then you reap the whirlwind after rook takes on b2. This is awesome. Just to give you a flavour, king takes, check, and because the bishop is not on c5 anymore, where you could then go bishop d4, interposing, supported by the queen, it means you have to sidestep with the king, and you get mincemeated on this diagonal. That is painful. So king b1 played instead. No bishop d6. Now we see this rook sliding to the d-file, covering that threat. So Alireza goes knight b3, hits the queen, it slides back to c7. We see an exchange of rooks, queen recaptures, and now this pawn is taken. There is a set of rooks off the board. This knight adding some defense around the king. And if rook b7, which wasn't played, to keep the exchange, well, now when you slide back to e3 with the bishop, pressuring this knight, here's a sample line, these ones come off, well, you've weakened this b6 square. So after knight a5, hitting these two, rook c7 defending, you've got ideas like rook b6. There's no pawn on a7, covering the square. The rook's coming to the d-file. This is a huge attack for white. White's almost winning, you know, basically, barring anything stupid. So after bishop takes on a7, it's positionally very suspect, and therefore Gata Kamsky, low on time, smashes through on b3 here, giving an exchange but ripping open the king. Now after this check, you can even go queen c2 with a good endgame. But Alireza tucks the king in the corner, snug as a bug in a rug, right? Covered by these pawns, knight e2 played, and knight c1 check is Gata's idea. Then you'd be on this pawn twice with queen and knight, and you'd win an exchange if white captures. But queen g2 from Alireza, not minding that one, going on a counter attack, especially on the c6 pawn. Gata's got a gallop forward, it's his only hope. Sounds like Star Wars. Now we recapture, bishop takes back, the queen crashes through. Obviously Alireza does not want a perpetual, but after queen e6, well, it's a silent killer. You close the trap, This is the one escape square, but imagine delivering this nasty little checkmate. So queen d7 played. Now if you do this, well, king c8 is an option. Therefore, Alireza checks from down here, and now Gata goes wrong. If you run this way with the king, well, you take here with check. Things are collapsing. Alireza's already 2 pawns to the good. That could even increase. If you block with the queen, then again, you can give the king the runaround, pick up some pawns. Things are getting mopped up. But having said that, either one of those moves was better than this. King c7. It's checkmate into, and yes, you start by delivering a check. Here Gata resigned because after king c6, this is a checkmate. So Alireza gets the job done. There are 2 more rounds in this tournament. Let me show you the ratings list here. So this, whoops, that's some weird ass advert. Promise you this isn't my former shopping history. Now let's go down here. Some nice leather tights. Where are we at? So here's Wesley, 2757.4, and here's Alireza now, 2764. I'm actually quite surprised just how many points he's gained from that win. So he's well and truly clear of Wesley. 2 more rounds to go. In theory, he gets the job done now, but it still all depends whether they're going to rate, when I say they, FIDE, are going to rate the tournament he played against, you know, the hand-picked group of GMs. That's still up in the air as I understand it. Anyway, pure drama out here. Love it. Subscribe to never miss a future video. And for another epic game of chess, do check out the video on screen. Thanks a lot for watching and see you soon.